Picture this. Wandering samurai, red hair, and a massive X scar across one cheek. If Kenshin Himura doesn't come to mind, then boy, I must be getting old. What's up, anime weebs and manga readers? We are back again with another analysis video. This time shining a light on a widely forgotten classic of the 90s. And yes, I know you might roll your eyes at the possibility of Rurouni Kenshin being forgotten. But with a new anime remake imagining bearing the same name and so many people wanting to get into it, there's been no better time to look into the story of Batosai, the Manslayer. Long before Bleach, there was Rurouni Kenshin, or Samurai X as it's called in some circles. Rurouni Kenshin was a Japanese manga series that was serialized in the Weekly Shonen Jump magazine, the initial home for many of the greats in anime and manga today. The story kicks off in the 11th year of Japan's Meiji era, which is, in simpler terms, sometime in the late 19th century, and follows the life of Kenshin Himura. He comes off as a pretty unassuming guy at first. He was one of many wandering samurai who could be found in just about every corner of Japan during that era. But upon taking a closer look at him, a few things start to stand out. His wild shock of red hair, the cross-shaped scar on his cheek, and most peculiarly, his reverse-bladed katana. And for the uncultured and uninitiated, I know what you're thinking. A reverse-bladed katana? That's the equivalent of a reverse-barreled gun. It makes no sense. Well, you see, that was kind of the point. Kenshin, you see, has vowed never to take another life, and his peculiar katana is the only way he can defend himself and others without doing so. As we come to find out, our wandering swordsman has a past, and it's a pretty dark one at that too. Turns out the mild-mannered Kenshin is none other than a legendary assassin from the Bakumatsu era, the legendary Hitokiri Batosai, or, as it's rather colorfully put in the dub, Batosai the Manslayer. A pretty self-explanatory name if you ask me. At the start of the story, Kenshin is effectively retired and the man is on a mission of redemption. He's all about offering protection and assistance to those who need it, trying to make up for the dark deeds of his assassin days. When his travels take him to Tokyo, Kenshin stumbles upon a young woman, Kamiya Kaoru, who's knee-deep in a brawl with a guy claiming to be the infamous Hitokiri Batosai, and sullying the name of the swordsman school she runs. A damsel in distress and a good old-fashioned brute. That looked exactly like the kind of situation Kenshin had vowed to prevent. And so, instead of walking away, Kenshin jumps into the fray and takes down the imposter. But this is where things get a little more interesting. Kaoru somehow manages to find out that the disheveled stranger who helped her take down the fake Hitokiri Batosai is actually the real Hitokiri Batosai. Yeah, that's right. The legendary bloodthirsty swordsman who's been rumored to take down 1,000 men. And does she scream and run in terror? Of course not. That wouldn't be the logical thing to do now, would it? Instead, she offers him a place to stay at her dojo. As outrageous as this might seem at first, there's actually a pretty valid reason. Kaoru comes to see beyond his reputation as a cold-hearted killer, and recognizes his peaceful and kind-hearted nature. And so, Kenshin's in for the long haul. He decides to stick around and build some deep connections with a bunch of fascinating folks. First up, there's Sagara Sanosuke, a former Sekio Armor member who becomes a true blue buddy. Then there's Myojin Yahiko, an orphan from a samurai family who's basically adopted into the Kaoru dojo as her student. And as if that wasn't enough, he also teams up with Takane Megami, a doctor tangled up in the shady world of the opium trade. But hey, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Kenshin's got his hands full with a whole roster of enemies, both new and from his dark past. One of the head honchos on this villain hit list, Shinomori Aoshi, the former leader of the Oniwabanshu, a covert group of elite intelligence operatives under the direction of the shogun himself. If any of this sounds appealing to you, then you should probably pick up Rurouni Kenshin. It tells a very human story about the forgiveness of oneself and the difficulties of struggling with one's past, all set against the backdrop of Meiji-era Japan, and a cast of dynamic characters that play beautifully off Kenshin's strengths and weaknesses. We follow Kenshin as he learns to love himself and others around him, and we feel his pain as he grapples with the cost of breaking his vows for the sake of the people he loves. Throughout the manga and the subsequent anime adaptations and one-shots, the core of the story remains intact as more twists and turns are masterfully written in to give Kenshin a struggle. Packed full of kinetic action scenes, a lifetime's worth of blood and gore, and some genuinely hilarious and heartfelt moments, Rurouni Kenshin should be every shonen fan's dream, and there's probably no better time to jump on the Kenshin train with a new anime from the studio leading films airing right now. It is, however, important to mention that as incredible as his work is, the creator of Rurouni Kenshin, Nobuhiro Watsuki, is known to have been involved in some pretty unsavory practices, of which I will not be going into in this video, as in extremely unsavory. So, if you're gonna consider picking up Rurouni Kenshin, you might want to look up the situation and find out if you're comfortable separating the art from the artist. If you are, then you're probably in for a good time. If not, then, well, you're better off looking for another anime recommendation from the catalog on the channel. Anyway, that's all we have for today, folks. Do you agree with our thoughts? Maybe there are some really cool aspects of Rurouni Kenshin I left out. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell to get regular updates on new videos. I make awesome anime and manga content like this every week, so be sure to check them out. Thanks for watching, and bye for now!